So a couple of weeks ago, we've gotten a big update that changed a lot of things. But with stuff changing, some core problems started to arise again. A week later, we got the April Fool's update, and as for now, I have some strong opinions about TDX. This video was just going to be ranting, but now, with all the things we've been getting, I'm not even sure about TDX's future anymore. This video will be divided into chapters, and we'll go in detail about a lot of things, so prepare yourselves, and let's begin. Halloween 2025, the place where the downfall began. We have gotten a new game mode, a battle pass, and a new event tower, being the Shock Trooper. Well, the gameplay of the event was pretty bad. It's supposed to release with two playable modes, being normal and nightmare, but the nightmare never ended up releasing. And the normal mode of the event was terribly slow, had a terrible economy, and in general, besides the first time playing it, it was not good. The battle pass also was a pretty nothing pass. The skins it included were good, but most of the pass was filler. This is a problem that I already talked about, so I'm not gonna go in detail here, but this was the start of getting gadget passes that were longer just for the sake of it. And for the event tower, it was pretty useless. It had a unique gimmick, sure, but the stats and the placement limit of the tower ruined all the viability that the tower could have had. So in the end, the update was pretty disappointing for most people. Although being a minor update, after the Nightmare mode, Derrick was the first non-event tower that the game had added, and the core concept of the tower was terrible. The tower was both originally bad at a viability standpoint, had a price way too high for what it was, and as a core concept it was flawed. Now adding a bad tower wouldn't be much to me, because most towers don't really get used in this game, but getting a supposed high-end tower that was this terrible pissed a lot of people off. The core concept of spending more time at a game mode for the tower to work expects players to spend more time at the game. So with this tower, developers just wanted people to spend as much time at TDX as possible and not much else. A lot of people made videos about how bad the tower was, me included, but still, to this day, this tower remains unchanged at a core level. TDX's Christmas 2025 update, Man vs. Steel, was also a flop. The update has introduced two new game modes with added on playable difficulties, had a battle pass and a shop system. The game mode itself was fun at the first glance, but looking deeper into it, it was empty with how non-interactive the mode is. So after the first playthrough, the mode becomes repetitive. The second game mode as well was pretty bad. Unlike the first game mode, it wasn't a non-pad system, so as a core it wasn't anything unique. It offered a shield system, but it was no different from just the default mode's health system. The mode itself was really bad as well. It was super repetitive with needing to play it a lot to grind currencies, which I will get to in a moment, and wasn't even intriguing at the first playthrough. It both wasn't memorable with just being another game mode, and it was also pretty bad with having lackluster gameplay. The battle pass was really bad also. Had a lot of good skins, yes, but it was one of the most full of filler passes that TDX has ever seen. Out of 42 tiers that the pass had, 9 of them were filler. The pass was extended way beyond what it could have handled, and at the end, we got a pretty terrible battle pass. This also highlights the problem of the decline in quality of the battle passes. Combat Medic's release wasn't really problematic, but it had some core problems related to power creep that I unfortunately couldn't make a video of in the past. So let me talk about it now. With the introduction of the Combat Medic into the game, TDX has 3 healing towers. Now, Combat Medic's existence doesn't interfere with the Shield Tower in any way, because they fill different niches. Shield Tower protects really vulnerable towers with having a shield mechanic, and its towers protected against insta-kill attacks with having a shield that can tank for the damage, while Combat Medic focuses on being a more cheap and reliable healing option, as well as having your own gimmick, reviving dead towers. Compared to the Shield Tower, it's a good thing to have her, so it's not always I'll pick the Shield Tower as my healing option. But comparing her to the Medic is a whole another story. After the Shield Tower's release, Medic lost most of its purpose, with the Shield Tower doing its job of protecting towers better. And the only reason to have Medic over Shield Tower was Medic's Uber ability. Uber made towers invincible for a short period of time, and this made so things that were too strong for Shield Tower could be handled with the Medic's Uber. But with having a tower that can revive towers, now Medic just loses all of its remaining purpose. On healing, both Combat Medic and the Shield Tower is just better with having area of effect on their healing. And when it comes to gimmicks, a tower that can automatically revive dead towers will surpass a tower that needs manual ability usage to keep the tower alive. So without getting any compensation Medic change, Medic is just underpowered and power capped by Combat Medic. With the Rebalance update, we are gonna total of 30 balance changes, the freeze mechanic rework, and 3 new towers. Now before getting into the problems, let's get into the balance changes first. So I was originally going to talk about each single or minor change, but I figured stating each and all of them would be unnecessary. The main idea of the minor changes section is to show how bloated the changes are. Instead of calling the update freeze rework with a few balance changes, just to make the name bigger, the big 30 tower balancing update, they made a bunch of nothing changes. So yeah, there were a lot of nothing changes in the quote-unquote balancing update. First, we got the sentry, and besides the general DPS increase, the main change it received was the revealed count getting increased from 1 all the way up to 8. Now, on more advanced side of TDX, sentry is mostly used as a baiting option. The DPS and crowd control sentry offers can be replaced with many other towers, but with the sentry being really cheap and having a rebuild option, it was a pretty useful option in game modes such as events for baiting. But with it now having 8 rebuilds, other baiting towers being the scarecrow or troll tower will just completely die, cause whatever they do now, sentry does so much better. Armored Factory buffed to spawn Humvees with higher HP in general, MRAP and M1X Abrams having collision resistances now, with M1X Abrams spawning quicker and having 2 maximum count now. Overall, all of its stats got a bit better, so it really is stronger and the tower will benefit from this. Refractor also got some good changes, but they missed the core problem it had. Now, the Refractor ignores the line of sight way earlier, and it also affects bottom pad, and overall the DPS after chain damage of the top pad has been increased. But honestly, these changes didn't affect the core issue with the Refractor. The issue we have is bottom pad overshadowing the top pad immensely. Now the change that could have made the top pad useful was increasing the chain range as well as increasing the chain DPS, but they only did the second change, and although being good, the bottom pad didn't need the ignore line of sight passive. So overall, although being a buff, the changes don't fix what was broken about Refractor. Operator got buffed, with a lot changing the bottom pad to be more spawner focused. Now at level 3, it spawns a Jeep, which has 150 health and not much DPS. At level 4, it now summons the Humvee alongside the Jeep, which has the same Humvee we all know and love. And at level 5, Jeep gets removed, but it now summons LAV-25 and it has 3000 health with God knows how much DPS as they didn't state it at the update log. Alongside these, the prices have been increased significantly to balance the bottom pad out. So overall, I think this is a pretty good change. This separates the bottom pad from the top pad with changing their core functionalities, and in general, being a support slash spawner tower is a good role that the operator took. Juggernaut got some buffs and price changes for both pads and got 2 unique abilities for each pad. Top pad now gains the Heron's ability on the max level, which increases damage to 120, range to 42, and makes its bullets explosive for the duration of 10 seconds. And bottom pad has the ability Overcharge. Overcharge makes Juggernaut have increased range and damage for 7 seconds. And overall, this is a good buff. On general, the stats aren't much different, but the abilities make both pads significantly more powerful. Toxic Nature now passively lowers enemy damage by a percentage and boss damage resistances by a percentage depending on the level upgraded on bottom pad. Up to 30% for enemies and 15% for bosses. Now with already having a nice ability for getting bonus damage, Toxic Nature now debuffs both enemies and bosses. This is generally a really good change and it will make Toxic Nature a good support tower. Relic has been nerfed with Seraph damage getting highly decreased, overseas spawning slower, having less health, having less collision resistance, walking slightly faster, and dealing less damage with his laser. To compensate though, the placement limit of the tower has been increased to 5 in solo. Now, although being a big nerf, with having a 5th one that you can place now, it's not as nerfed as much as you think it did. Relic has been dominating the meta with being one of the best towers in the game, but with the nerf now, as a singular tower, it's worse. And to be as good as its past, it needs to be invested in more, with requiring to place the 5th tower, thus costing an extra $1 million. Still though, in my opinion, Relic is still really good. It was way too OP up to a degree that it needed a nerf, but with having increased placement limit, the nerf isn't as effective as it should have been. War Machine has been changed, with the top pad getting its max level DPS lowered to 2000 from 2500 and having a lower maximum count. But the bottom pad got some buffs, with having a small price decrease and X4 rocket damage increasing up to 4000 from 200. Also, Alpha Predator can kill a War Machine if it's stalled for too long. And Emperor is now immune to War Machine's punching, thus it cannot be stalled. Plus War Machine's new placement limit is now 5 in solo instead of 4. And overall, just like the Relic, the changes are good, but it doesn't need the increased placement limit, cause that just decreases the value of the nerf. And finally, Golden Mobster has gotten some big nerfs, with his cost being slightly increased, his Enforcers and Reapers HP lowered by 25, his cash reload overall lowered, and bounty is also lowered with increased cooldowns. With how overpowered Golden Mobster has been, the nerfs are justified. Golden Mobster has been in the meta since it's released, it's nice to see him finally getting nerfed. So with the freeze rework, each enemy's freezing values have been lowered so they can be frozen easily. But to compensate, the perma-freezing of towers have been removed. After being frozen for a while, enemies will thaw out and will become immune for several seconds. Cryo Ranger has been nerfed with no longer ignoring ice resistance nor boss ice resistance. So now it is genuinely useless compared to the other freezing towers. Cryo Mortar also has been nerfed to Oblivion with reloading slower on max level, having its slowdown removed, damage multiplier frozen removed, permanent speed multiplier frozen removed, no longer hits air enemies and no longer ignores ice resistance. So it is completely gutted. It was a tad OP before, but now it is complete garbage. Cryo Blaster is now the only cryo tower to offer damage boosts and slowdowns when an enemy is frozen. Cryo Helicopter got nerfed with its damage decreased, but it practically means nothing since it doesn't affect the freeze. But its damage multiplier frozen got removed, permanent speed multiplier frozen got removed, and it no longer ignores ice resistance. Icebreaker has been made cheaper and now she deals slightly more damage, but she cannot deal extra damage to frozen enemies and cannot slow down enemies. Can you see the problem with all of these now? Freezing was an already perfectly functioning mechanic. Most freezing towers already could freeze the enemies and struggle to freeze bosses, but helped a lot nonetheless. But now, firstly, all freezing towers have been gutted with all of them getting nerfed and having their extra damages or slowdowns to frozen enemies getting removed. This is just horrible. Freezing as a mechanic is just completely pointless now. The mechanic already worked fine before. Why have the need to ruin it? If it ain't broken, don't fix it. We got so many problems with the game and all the whole things, we choose to ruin another feature now? The new towers are just... why? Noob Trooper is just Grenadier top pad but better. Stinger is just straight up Missile Trooper with a gimmick, and Scout Helicopter is just Helicopter bottom pad max. Scout Helicopter out of all things can be understandable, with revealing stealth being a pretty good mechanic, but the other two is just either power creep or sloppy tower design. Grenadier isn't really a good tower, so why not just rework the top pad instead of adding a new tower with the same gimmick? Same goes for the Stinger as well. The core gameplay of Stinger is literally one-on-one copy of Missile Trooper. So why not help Missile Trooper out by reworking it into having Stinger's gimmick of dealing bullet damage when up close? The introduction of these two is just unnecessary. And why do they have a single pad? Isn't TDX a tower defense game that is different compared to the others, with its two-pad design? When they implemented one-pad designs to the event towers, people were upset with TDX losing their unique gimmick, but eventually gave up, accepting event towers with a single pad. But now we are getting normal towers with one-pad? This is just bad game design. This single-handedly makes TDX lose some of its identity over time. Now, I originally had a different script talking about the Easter event, but with the release of the part 2, I wanted to change a few things. So here we begin. Easter 2026, the event that gave us 2 game modes, 2 new towers and a bunch of skins. Let's begin with the game modes. Part 1 of the Easter event, quite uniquely, doesn't feel like TDX. TDX is supposed to be a militaristic, semi-realistic tower defense game, but with the models of the enemies and the overall feel that the part 1 gives, it's weirdly not TDX. And about the mode itself. It feels bad to play. The completely separate 2-pad system is nice, but the mode itself is nothing but pure spam. And although supposedly having a nightmare option, all 3 modes are super easy and doesn't provide a challenge, thus making the mode feel boring. All you have to do is just place a few helicopters and you win. And for the boss, I'm not gonna lie, it is stupid. Thematically, it fits TDX, but in execution, the moves it has is borderline unfair. You may have a max relic or a refractor out there, but the boss will just jump onto it and one-shot it. So overall, it's a bad game mode that isn't much fun. For the second part as well, although John hyping it up to be the best thing ever, it really is not. The mode itself is quite easy as well, with only requiring a few more machines to be placed to win. And with its gameplay, it offers nothing unique and it's just another game mode. The boss as well is hyped so much with the engineer returning back thing, but the boss fight engineer offers isn't really fun. The different arms gimmick it has makes him have different attacks, but in general it doesn't really make much of a difference. It's just a big guy aura farming all game and that's it. For the towers and the battle passes. they are bad. The battle pass has the chicken house tower about halfway of the battle pass, and the remaining part of the pass is just filler or skins. So besides the halfway, there is no incentive to grind the pass because there is nothing unique to gain from it. For the chicken tower, it is completely useless. I already talked about this, but introducing more bait towers into the game is a bad idea, and with the chicken tower being a pointless bait tower, it is just a waste of air to talk about. And with the battle pass only offering the chicken tower as a reward, if you are not a collector or if there isn't a skin that you like so much, there is literally no need to grind the battle pass. Now for the shop and the bubble blower. They could have just put the things in the shop into the battle pass to make it more worthwhile, but no, as TDX, we have the need to introduce the shop that makes the passes worthless. And bubble blower. I thought he was going to be super useless, but with it being released, it is super overpowered. He's practically free with only costing like 5,000 to max out, and it has the best stalling in the entire game. It is just a cool gunner station all over again. It is going to be OP for a while, then it will get nerfed to oblivion and be pointless to use. And to top that, he doesn't fit TDX like at all. Why do they have a random bubble blowing guy who looks like invincible? What happened to keeping the integrity and the core art style of TDX militaristic? And for the latest, the big bad update of TDX, April Fool's 2026. Firstly, this update added nothing new. It brought back the Troll Tower, which was already a pre-existing tower, brought back the old April Fool's game mode, and brought back last year's skin crate for April Fool's. So overall, the update added nothing into the game. Seems like I've forgotten something. An $80, 200 level, 1.6 million gold something. Golden Worship. The one fatal mistake that TDX has done, and the main reason this video is made. To begin, let's start with the tower's price. For the funnies and jokes, the tower is either 8,250 Robux or 200 levels with 1.6 million gold. For your sake, let me sum its price for you. If you have Roblox Premium, it will cost you 9 months of subscription with it costing you $90. If you buy 500, 1000 or 1500 Robux package, it will cost you $80. For that amount of money, you can buy a lot of games. Let me give you a few examples. GTA 5 Enhanced package with $30, Ultra Kill for $10, Elden Ring with all of its DLCs for $65, all Poppy Playtime chapters for $39, and so much more. Now, do you understand what I'm trying to get at? Trying to buy it without Robux is also impossible. Getting 1.6 million gold is an absurd number, but technically possible. But reaching 200 levels? I've been playing TDX since it came out, and I've got over 550 hours in this game, and I only am 168 levels. Level up requirements gradually increase, so getting up to level 200 is such an insanely absurd task to ask, it is technically impossible. Now moving away from the unlocking requirements, the status of the Golden Warship is absurd as well. Max level bottom bad warship has 147,000 DPS, and comparing it to the second highest DPS in the game, Refactor, we see that Refactor only has 16,000 max and 4,700 minimum DPS, averaging to 9,100. Comparing this number to Golden Warship is quite frankly a joke. So with also being over with the stats, let's get to the reason Golden Warship is the one fatal flaw of TDX. There is no way out of this mistake. Each other thing I mentioned can be changed, can be reworked, and so on, but Golden Warship can't. If it gets balanced, people who paid $80 will be pissed. If it gets outright removed, it would most likely be illegal with scamming players. And if it stays, it will break the game. TDX has 29 game modes that are currently playable, and a total of 21 of them are event game modes, but most of them aren't useful for grinding, so I'll be skipping them. For the remaining 8 modes, 4 of them are too simple to require Golden Warship, and one of them, Extra Mode, can be played using Golden Warship, but the economy isn't really fit for Golden Warship. So that leaves us with 3 modes, which are also quite frankly the most important and useful modes for grinding: Endless, Nightmare, and Ultra. Golden Warship breaks all of these game modes. With Golden Warship on hand, even the hardest bosses don't stand a chance. So what I'm trying to get at is people who pay $80 will have an unfair advantage over all people. And you know what the worst part is? John is downplaying the issue. When we look at John's statement about golden worship, he calls the negative stance over golden worship objectively untrue. He also says the whole hate thing and death threats are not constructive criticism. Which about the death threats, he's right. Saying those things to a person just because of a game is both stupid and genuinely a disgusting thing. But hate? No. Hate that both golden worship and John is getting is justified. And John playing the situation like nothing happened and acting like he's getting hate over nothing is disgusting to say the least. To conclude everything off, I want to mention every mistake of TDX we have gathered throughout the video. Decline of battle passes. The thing me and so many others talked about. Since the Halloween 2025 battle pass, overall quality of the passes have been declining. Passes are mostly fillers and are bloated with a bunch of unnecessary things to make things look more than they actually are. Decline of gameplay. With each update and events we are getting, with each game mode that passes through TDX, we are seeing a sad decline in quality. Most of the game modes are designed to be played for a time and not to be touched again, while people are forced to play them for hours and hours just to grind for passes, shops and so on. Since the Nightmare update really, we haven't been getting any fun or replayable game modes. Decline of tower design. As I said a second ago, after the Nightmare update, each tower we've been getting is becoming more and more useless. We have gotten 11 new towers since the Nightmare's release, and besides a few of them who fill a unique niche, all the towers either been utterly pointless or just a worse tower compared to their counterparts. Instead of fixing the older towers, we've only been getting more and more things we didn't need at the first place. Oh, power creep, TDX's old friend. With the new towers, power creep is rising again and it's more prevalent than ever. The new towers we've been getting are either stuff that are completely power crept by the older towers or completely power creep the older towers. Balance of getting a tower that are equally useful to their counterparts or having them fill a unique niche seems to be abandoned as an idea. And finally, lack of communication and care by the developers, and specifically John himself. Throughout all the changes and the updates we've been getting, since the Nightmare's release, people have been screaming their guts out, calling how these things are bad additions and should be fixed. But John has been completely ignoring them and doing his own thing. Although community and people's love for TDX being the only thing that is keeping the game alive, the attention and love the devs gave back to the community is just so little and nothing that it looks like just a few more steps in the wrong direction and the game will die. For being my overall favorite game, it just saddens me to my core seeing TDX slowly die. The core design of TDX makes it so unique and amazing that it should be one of the top TD games on Roblox, but with the mistakes that the devs and John have been making, I don't see how TDX survives long term. All of these problems connect to one thing. TDX is just not being designed for long-term gameplay anymore. And to be honest, that is the worst part, because TDX has the potential to be so much more. So, normally the video was going to be over, just like that, but I wanted to say a few more things as a closing thought section. Tower Defense X, the game that I've been playing for over 3 years now. Like it's quite weird to even think about it. The game that I spent a lot of time in, the game that I did all those videos, and seeing the game in a very bad place like this and seeing how the developers do not care about the community genuinely hurts, you know. I played a lot of games. I played Pillar Chase for about 250 hours. I played Forsaken for 11 days. I played Ultra Kill, for example, outside Roblox for about 200 hours now. But TDX is the game that I played most out of pretty much every game, with 550 hours at my hands. Now, when I look back at the past of the game, since the release, I've been a huge fan. I played every single update, I tried to do everything that the game has offered me. I talked about everything. The reason that I am right now here, talking about the past, the future and what could have been done to the game, is because of TDX. My first popular video, my first video that got successful, let's say, was made because of TDX. was popularized because of how popular TDX was at the time. But if you look at TDX now, like it averages about 2,000 to 3,000 players, and like besides events, and like even if in events it only increases the player count for about a week or so. It doesn't really affect the game that much anymore. Like look at the prime of TDX. I remember seeing 20,000 people and perhaps even more people playing TDX, but now it is just nothing. And the true problem is, it is not like TDX is dying, which TDX is kind of dying, but it is not a big deal, because like 3,000 player count, that's okay. But unlike the past times, when I look at TDX, I cannot be happy, I do not smile. Like it is, oh, this update sucks, this feature is garbage, this new tower is bad, the community sucks, the developers do not care. It is completely negative things, and truly it is sad, you know. Like the developers, John Roblox, he has so many assets, he has so many people that he can work with, but look at what he does. Look at the state of the game. Players are screaming about how the new towers aren't good, how the passes are garbage, but he just doesn't care, dude. So what's next? Am I going to stop making TDX content? I don't really think so. Like TDX is a big game, and like TDX is a big part of both my YouTube career, the thing that I'm pursuing right now, and generally as a person. Like 550 hours isn't little. I spent a lot of time on that game, and I really doubt I'm going to be stopping playing the game. But just looking at myself, besides the events where I have to grind to get some sort of thing, I do not play the game. Like I do not care really. So in the future, what can you expect? It's I will be probably covering more different games, probably more ASIMs. Like Byte by Night just came out. It looks like a really good game. Pillage to Rico just dropped, which I will be checking out, and there's a few more games I want to try out, and I will be probably talking about them more and not just stick to TDX, because as we are seeing, they don't really care for us. Like there's 3 big people screaming their guts out. There's Salts, there's Remy, there's Rogue. Everybody's talking about how the game is going in a bad direction, but they're just keeping a blind eye on us. And yeah, that's I guess what I wanted to say. If you made it all the way to here, this video is about like 20 minutes long, if I'm not seeing things right. And like, thank you if you watched this long, I appreciate that. And if you like TDX content, there's a whole bunch of TDX videos that I made, and if you want to get into more different games, for example Pillar Chase or Forsaken, as far as I covered them, there are videos for those games too, so if you like, you can go check out them too. Well, thank you for watching, and see you later.